Hello everyone, welcome to the 99 percentile club, where we are going to be discussing very important questions related to your CAT preparation, some very important and very peculiar questions. In today's session, I am going to be discussing an odd one out question. Let's not waste any time, let's get started. So here is my question for the day. Let's take a look. So my first sentence starts off with, it is turning off the tap. Now when I look at this question, I wonder what this it is that is turning off the tap. Remember, pronouns are very important clues because they help you arrange the sentences in the sense that a pronoun will always connect with a noun before it. So that means when I read it is turning off the tap, I know in my mind that there is going to be a sentence that is going to have the antecedent or the noun word for what this it is. So clearly sentence A has to be preceded by something. I am very certain of that. Now when I come to sentence B, let us read sentence B. And with no consensus of the exit policy, the government is damned if it supports loss making units and damned if it doesn't. Okay. So my second sentence says, and with no consensus of the exit policy. So there is no consensus on the exit policy. How are we exiting? What are we doing about it? So the government is going to be in a bad situation either ways, whether they help the loss making units, whether they don't help the loss making units. So this and, now here is another clue. Remember, and is a conjunction, right? And how and works is, it will always have something before and something after. So you always have A and B, right? You always have X and Y. So if I have my and sentence here, then surely there has to be one sentence where this first idea is going to lie. So where is that first idea going to lie? We will try and find out. So something and B. This is my second thought, okay? I am getting clues here. My third sentence says the private sector did the same in the past because securing legal sanction for closure was virtually impossible. So the private sector has done the same. What is this same? Now again there is a clue here. The same means somebody has done something and the private sector has done exactly the same thing. But the private sector did the same thing in the past because securing legal sanction for closure was virtually impossible. So they did not gain legal sanction for closure and therefore they did just the same. Okay, wonderful. So what is this the same? Again I have a question. What is this the same that we are talking about? Again a clue for me. Look at the next one. After years of funding the losses of public sector companies, the government is doing the unthinkable. So it says that for years and years and years, the government has funded the losses of the public sector. Whatever public sector losses have happened, government has been paying up. Now it is doing the unthinkable. Now when we say the government is doing the unthinkable, that means it is doing something that you would just not expect, right? So the thing that the government is going to do is something that is unexpected. Now here is a sentence which actually kind of points us towards the idea that this passage is talking about. So it very beautifully says that after a long period of time, the government is doing something that you never expected. It is doing something very unexpected. And what that thing is for us to find out. So probably I feel that D should be an introductory statement. Okay. So probably this set should start with D and then the other sentences will come. Now if you look at A says it is turning off the tap. Now here are two beautiful clues. The government is doing the unthinkable. It is turning off the tap. Now what is this unthinkable? Turning off the tap. Stopping doing whatever it was. That's the unthinkable thing. And the it of course is the government that we are talking of. So I know that D and A now form a pair for me. So D, A now becomes a pair. So look at this, how beautiful. After years of funding the losses of public sector companies, the government is doing the unthinkable. It is doing what? It is turning off the tap. बंद कर दे रही है government tap को. Beautiful. Private sector and public sector companies act in a similar fashion when in crisis. Now look at this. It says that the private sector companies work in exactly the same way as the public sector companies do when they are in crisis. But if you look at the rest of the sentences, do these sentences actually talk about how the private sector companies act in a crisis or how the public sector companies really act in a crisis? Not really. Not really. It has said that the public sector has been in loss and the government is acting now, if you have read my sentences correctly. So, I somehow get the feeling that E should be my odd one out, but I will nevertheless try and figure out the rest of the sequence, because I know I have got DNA, which says after years of funding the losses of public sector companies, the government is doing the unthinkable, it is turning off the tap. Okay. What after that? The private sector did the same. What was the same thing? Turning off the tap. So, then I think I should get C after this. And the last sentence will be, and with no consensus of the exit policy, the government is damned if it supports loss making units and damned if it doesn't. So, they really could not do anything. So, D is C and then probably B would come. So, that would become my sequence, and sentence E, which talks of private sector and public sector functioning similarly, would be my odd one out. Alright, I hope you got this question. Remember, this was more about creating a parajumble, a coherent thought, and then identifying what was the odd one out. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you will continue to join me in these sessions where we will discuss a lot more interesting questions. Thank you. Have a nice day.